So you can keep this picture if you want. Probably isn't very relevant to our project. You can change this picture to a different one by, if you click down here on Edit Image, it'll allow you to choose a different background. I wouldn't necessarily recommend these ones. They're kind of busy. You could upload an image of your own if you want by clicking on Upload Photo to from your computer, and then just choose a file. Now keep in mind that these file types do have to be either JPEGs, PNGs, or GIFs. You can't upload a TIFF, so you will have to, if it's a TIFF, you're going to have to convert it. But you can pick a picture if you want and click open and it'll upload it. I'm going to cancel out of this. Personally, I don't really want this picture here, so I'm going to click cancel. If you go down here and click on this kind of rotary wheel button down here on the bottom right, I'm going to click on no header. And what that's going to do is that's going to remove that picture because I don't want it. So I'm going to start making my website here. So maybe the first thing that I'm going to want is a title for the first section of the website. Let's say the first section of the website is going to be background or introduction for the project. So the way that you insert these sorts of things is you click on these boxes for what you want to insert into your website. So say I want to insert a title. I click on it and I drag it over. And what it's going to do is, I have to drag it over here. What it's going to do is it's going to put the title in right here. So let's say that I want to call this an introduction to DNA barcoding. And again, I'm just making these up. You can format this any way you want, but this is how you would say put in a title for a section if you want. Or maybe you just might want to call it background on barcoding. Or you can come up with a great name yourself. Again, you have free reign to format this any way you want. It's just you just want to do it in a way that's going to make sense. So if you click outside of that, now this is a title box. So you can move this title box by clicking here and up and down. We don't really have anything to move it above or below at this point. If you wanted to get rid of this title box, you'd click on the X right here to delete. And then to edit it, you just click right inside of it. So let's say we wanted to put in some text below that title box. So we click on text, and we're going to drag it down here. This blue line below background on barcoding, this is showing that the text is going to go below it. So now we have a text box under background on barcoding. And you can put in whatever you want. Here you may want to include interesting background on barcoding. And you can make this text box as big as you want. Text box is getting large. And this can be the end of this section. So this is now a text box that you can put in. So let's say you are now interested in putting in a picture. This could be a picture of your sample, perhaps. You can go over here to Image, click on that, and I'm going to put it down here, and it's going to insert the image below my text box. And here it's giving you the option to upload the image. So if you click on that, say upload a photo from your computer, and say I wanted to put in a picture of my sample. So I'm going to go to the folder where it is, and maybe I'll put in a picture of whatever image I have. And you can move this around if you want. So let's say I wanted to put the image here, and then I wanted to put some text. So maybe I'll want to put a title right here that says, species or specimen for barcoding. Again, I'm just coming up with almost random words here. You're going to want to do this however you're going to format it. And then if we want to put some text next to it, we can put in a text box. And it's going to allow me to, I can now put in text for this section. And maybe you want to put in a figure legend. So again, we can put some text and put it down here, and we can start typing here. Figure 1, blah blah blah, and up here you can change. For example, if you want to underline something, or you can underline it, italics. You can make it larger, so increase font, decrease font. You can change the justification. Or first, if you want, you can change the color. So say I wanted this in purple, you can make it in purple. You can change the justification if you want to move it to the right so it's below your figure. It might look nice that way. You can go ahead and do that, so that now if you hit the return key, that text box is going to be below your figure. And this text up here is separate, so you can format this so it looks like a professional website would, in a way, so that it's really nice to look at. And you might hear talk about, predictions of what this organism is, and you can always refer to your figure. So if someone's looking at your website and sees that you're talking about what you think this organism is, they see figure 1, they can look over to figure 1, and it all makes sense. If you wanted to, say, put in another image, like a map showing where you isolated your sample from, you can click on this, and basically the blue line, when you move this around, the blue line is telling you where that's going to go relative to each other. So if I put it here, this blue line is showing me that the image is going to be below that last text box. So I'm going to click there, and now I have another image. And I can upload another photo from my computer. And if you want to, say, put a map, you can go ahead and do that. And you could, if you want to put two pictures next to each other, you can move one over, insert another picture right next to it. And you can resize it if you need to. So if you click on the blue box, it gives you the opportunity to edit your image, change the alignment of your image, things like that. Same thing with this one, if you wanted to resize it. If you want to move any text boxes, any images, you click on these boxes that are at the top of any of these pieces, and that gives you the ability to move them. So here, now I moved these two on top of each other, so I probably don't want to do that. So I'm going to want to, say, move this back up here. So, and you can play around with this. I seem to have moved it too. And the nice thing about this, you can see this isn't where I want to move it, but it gives you the opportunity to kind of put any of these things where you want them to. So let's say turns out I don't want this image. I can go to that box, click on the X. It's going to ask me if I'm sure I want to delete it. I'll say delete, and done. So maybe this will be figure 2. So you can put a figure legend for figure 2. You can maybe put a subtitle here. So you can put in. So let's say you now want a text box for a title in between your figure legend and this picture. You just go to title, and you're going to have the blue line in between your text box, your figure legend text box, and your picture. Drop it, and it's going to put it right there. So just click there to edit it, and you put picture. a map of sample collection, however you want to type it. These are, I'm just coming up with these off the top of my head. So that's most of the functionality that you're going to need. So if you want to say this is the end of what you would consider maybe your introduction, and you want to divide a piece of the website from another piece of the website. These are the structure boxes down here. So if you click on divider and click and drag it over and put it, say, under this section here, it'll put this line here, acts as kind of a spacer. And you can change the width of the line. You can, so it could be 50%. You can make the width 100%. You can change the margin for the line. There's a lot of different things that you can change for your divider. Let's say you wanted to put, and you can delete this just like you can delete a text box and an image box. Let's say you wanted to put a spacer. It works the exact same way. You just take the box from the left here, drag it over into the editing area, and now you have the spacer where you can't have any images, you can't have any text, it just leaves some space between the sections. And you can put multiple spacers if you want more space. You have now 2 spacers, and so on. So if your next section was, say, the methods section, we can now put our title under our spacers, and you may want this to be larger in font compared to your subtitles of sections, so you can increase the font size, you can bold it, you can italics. So again, you have free reign here to make the website any way you want. I have uploaded a rubric to eClass. There are things that you're going to want to include because you're going to want to make sure that people are able to understand the project and what you did, what the results were. But the goal of this project is for you to be able to disseminate this information to at a level of a first-year biology student. So I want you to imagine that you're explaining this to someone in bioprinciples. So for example, when you include your methods section here, so here's your title for methods, you click on text, drag it down. It's my methods section. You don't need to go into very much detail. This isn't going to be as detail-oriented, particularly the methods section. It's not going to be as detail-oriented as a typical lab report. So you're welcome to simplify things, but don't just leave things out. You want to explain them in a way that's approachable. And the rubric on eClass, it talks about the different types of sections you might want to include. So a background / introduction section, where you talk about barcoding, you talk about the sample that you isolated, how you determined what that sample is, maybe some background information on that particular type of organism, or that order of organisms, whatever that particular, whatever detail you went into with your prediction. A methods section, a results section. So let's say you wanted to, your methods section could be mainly text, but you're certainly welcome, and I would highly suggest if you want to include any visual aspects of the methods section, but whether it be a visual way to represent the sample collection or the DNA extraction or the PCR or the sequencing, any of those things. So let's say after your method section, you have a results section. Again, they don't have to be named this way, but you can do it any way you want. So you have your results section. And again, you might want to include you'll definitely want to include some images with any text that you have. So you might want to include a picture of your electrophoresis gel. You'll probably want to make sure that it's labeled. The ones I've uploaded all the electrophoresis gels on eClass. They're inverted, so they're actually a light background with dark bands. So they're a little easier to see. And you'll probably want to label which is your sample. What's the approximate size of the sample as it's running. And along with those figures, you want to have figure legends. So you'll want, so actually before we do that, we can move this figure, say, all the way to the right or all the way to the left, and you can go back and forth, whichever is most pleasing to the eye. And we want to, say, put in some text um, here. So we can talk about the, um, you know, so here we can talk about uh, the, the, the process of electrophoresis and what the results of that are. And then below that figure, you can, by putting in a text box and aligning to the left, you can put in a figure legend with a title, figure number, a title, and some information about that figure. Figure legends are typically a few sentences long. And then maybe you want to have a little text talking about the process between electrophoresis and the next step, which was your sequencing. So if you wanted to show a picture of the result of the sequencing, you can insert another image and upload that from your computer. So this is a sample picture of an electropherogram, which we went over in lab this week when we analyzed our data. And you can maybe align this on the other side and put a figure legend under there and have an explanation of what the results are. And remember, in the results, we're not analyzing our data, but we're presenting what we obtained, and so on. And that's really the whole gist of how to make the website. And you might want to finish up with a discussion section or analysis section, as well as you'll want to include any references for the information that you provide. But the idea of this is to make it something that's a little more interesting than a lab report, and more approachable for people to be able to take in what the results of your the results of this particular lab were. So once you're finished, once you have your, now you can come and go as you want. So if you can exit the editor by going up to the top right here, and then let's say you log out. If you go back to the students' Weebly website, you can always log back in, so you don't have to finish this all in one sitting, of course. Put in your username, and then this is the title of your website, so you can click on that, and it'll bring you back to this editing mode, and you're able to edit it at any time. You might have to keep going to the no header here. So once you're finished, once your website is complete, you can then go to publish. So once you feel like you're done creating your website, if you click on publish, it's going to again bring up the website, the web domain that you put in at the beginning. Make sure that this is in fact the web website that you want, and click on continue. And you can put this as an education website. This is a class project. Click on continue. It's going to publish it. And now you're in the public domain. So you click on that, and I actually have to figure out how to get rid of this. But then this is what your website's going to look like on the web, and this is your web address up here. Now it is going to be password protected at the beginning. And I will remove the password protection once everyone is finished. That way, no one has an unfair advantage of looking at everyone else's website before they're done. But as of right now, these are password protected, so only the people who create the websites can see them for right now. So that's I will look into how to remove this particular picture because that should have been removed. But apart from that, that is how you make a website on Weebly. If you have any questions as you're going through this, please feel free to come see me and we can go over it. But again, I want you guys to have fun with this. It's a way to present your data that's a little more exciting than a typical lab report. So enjoy and let me know if you have any questions.